after settling the ATM issue, apparently now his phone wasn't working. So he claimed, and he needed to borrow mine. So without really thinking, I handed my phone over to him. Then he got back on his bike. Then he told me to start walking ahead of him and that he would follow close behind. So while I was walking, I turned back and saw him open the casing of my phone, reach inside, grab something, and then throw that certain something onto the ground. I then noticed him take something from his phone and place it into my phone. I later then learned that he basically dumped my SD memory card onto the ground and inserted his own SD memory card into my phone. Little did I know, this dude was practically stealing my phone. It appeared evident because he then rode up next to me and told me to meet him about a mile up the street as he was going to ride on ahead and do an errand really quick. All the while, me asking for my phone back. He said I would get it back once we were to meet up at the spot, about a mile up the road. I made it to the spot where I was to meet him, the place that was about a mile up the road. The place was a bar. So by this time, the people inside were pretty much cleaning from the evening before. So I walked in and asked, "Did anyone with a bike come through here?" They responded back with a fast no, and I was then left to wonder. I didn't even know this dude's name. So I guess I'll call him Phone Stealer. I didn't even know where he went, and where in the hell was my phone? The only thing I could do was walk back to Andy's house. Luckily, I still knew where it was. When he answered the door, he asked me where me and the other guy went because we were supposed to only go up the street and back. I was almost in tears explaining that he stole my phone. Well, somehow, Andy knew some people and started to make some phone calls. He called around for about a couple hours, and it turned out we would be able to get my phone back, but at a price. So I'm inside Andy's house almost the rest of the day, as it took about 8 hours to find out where my phone was. Here's the kicker. I would have to pay the guy, Phone Stealer, about $200 in order to get my phone back. Well, damn, the phone cost me already about $400. I guess, wanting to get my phone back, I agreed. Since I had a stash of cash at home, Andy's neighbor offered to give me a ride home to get the cash. We hightailed it to my house to grab the $200 in cash that I had. Then we headed back up to downtown Phoenix. Once we got back to Andy's house, Andy took my cash, got on his bike, and then headed out to the meeting spot to make the exchange for my phone. So about 2 hours later, my phone was back. My SD card was of course missing, but Phone Stealers was still inserted into the phone. This is where things would start to go bad. Phone Stealer came back to Andy's house in a drug-induced rage. He wanted his SD card back, and he wanted it back ASAP. But because I wasn't getting it out of the phone fast enough, he spewed out phrases of the sort like, "I'm going to fuck you up, I'm going to kill you." This is essentially how the hit was placed on me. There. He had his SD card back. He had an extra $200, and I had my phone back. Well, apparently that wasn't good enough for him. With the cartel, he placed a hit out for me. Basically, I was stuck in this small house, hostage, and couldn't leave. Why couldn't I leave? Well, Andy said that if I were to walk out that front door, my body would be floating in the canal behind the house. Andy said that Phone Stealer would be back with an arsenal. This assumed it would be guns and the such. I was terrified. I was scared for my life. I then started to text message everyone in my phone. I needed a ride home and some sort of protection from Phone Stealer. But no one wanted to help. So I was left to stay in this house, sit close to the ground, and have anxiety and fear of possible gunshots. I was scared that Phone Stealer would be coming back and that my life would end fairly shortly. Yes, I was practically held hostage in this crack house. I couldn't really call the police because then I would be caught up with what these people were doing, and I really didn't need that drama. But essentially, maybe it would have been better to call the police rather than waiting it out. Andy was even scared. He started to put furniture up against the door and windows. We pretty much sat on the floor behind a couch with the lights off. It was like time stood still. I rode it out to the early morning. It was a Monday. Once daylight hit, I grabbed my stuff and ran out the front door. I ran so fast back to the light rail, I didn't even look back. I just kept running and running. I wanted to get away from this whole experience. This whole weekend was upsetting. It basically was a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from hell. Never did I want to go through that again. But the bigger question is, where were my supposed friends at? Why could no one even bother to help me out in a time of need? I just needed a simple ride home at the time, because I didn't want to risk walking out in the open for Phone Stealer and the cartel to find me. I mean, did I want my body floating in the canal?